Hello and welcome. Whether you're getting ready for civil services or just want to stay on top of things, we're about to break down the most important developments from this past June. Let's jump right in.
I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But believe it or not, it's very real, and it's just one of the incredible stories we're going to cover today. We're talking everything from huge new laws right here at home to innovations that could literally change our relationship with space. So, to connect all these dots, we're going to look at 5 key areas. We'll kick things off with major policy shifts, then zoom in on Rajasthan. After that, we'll check out some amazing innovations for our planet, see where India stands on the world stage, and wrap up by celebrating some really outstanding people and their achievements. All right, first up, major policy shifts. We're looking at the new laws and the big debates that are shaping our country's future as we speak. You know, the kind of stuff that will have ripple effects for years. A really key legal development is about protecting lawyers from violence and harassment. And this brings up such a crucial point in how governance works, the big difference between just passing a law and actually putting it into action. So while Rajasthan was the very first state to pass an advocate protection bill, that was in 2023, it's Karnataka that has now become the first to officially implement the act. It's a fantastic real-world example of how an idea goes from paper to practice.
And speaking of updating old laws, this is a huge one. The brand new Post Office Act is now in effect, and it replaces the colonial-era Indian Post Office Act of 1898. Just think about that. A 125-year-old law is finally getting an update for the 21st century. That is a massive legislative leap. So what does this new act really change? Well, a lot. It gives the government the power to intercept mail if there are national security concerns. It also means the post office is no longer liable for service issues. And it gets rid of their special monopoly on delivering letters. These are pretty fundamental shifts in both government power and in accountability. You know, with temperatures soaring all over the country, a really big policy debate has fired up again. The question is, should a severe heat wave be officially classified as a notified disaster? And why does that label matter so much? Because if it is, states could finally tap into their state disaster response funds for relief and compensation, something they can't do for heat waves right now. So here they are. These are the 12 events that India officially recognizes as disasters today. Adding severe heat waves to this list, that wouldn't just be some small administrative tweak. It would be a major step forward in our climate adaptation strategy, formally recognizing just how deadly extreme heat can be. Okay, now let's zoom in a bit from the national level to what's happening in one particular state. For our second section, we're putting a spotlight on Rajasthan for a quick look at some key local initiatives. Under the banner Prosperous Farmer, Happy Rajasthan, the state has rolled out a new scheme. It gives an extra 2,000 rupees in assistance to farmers, which is on top of the 6,000 rupees they're already getting from the central government's PM-KSAN scheme. And to become more self-sufficient in energy, Rajasthan is making a massive push. The state has signed MOUs for new thermal plants in the Kota, Jalawar, and Baran regions. The goal? To boost power production by a staggering 18,000 megawatts. This is all about reducing the state's reliance on buying electricity from others. Now for some cool innovation. Researchers at IIT Jodhpur have come up with a smart adapter for electric vehicles. Imagine your EV runs out of juice in the middle of nowhere. Well, with this, you can just connect the adapter directly to a solar panel and get an emergency charge. It's such a simple but powerful fix for one of the biggest headaches for EV owners. Okay, let's broaden our view again. We're moving from a single state to some incredible breakthroughs in technology and environmental science. And yes, we're starting with that wooden satellite I mentioned earlier. And here it is, LignoSat. This was developed by Japan's Kyoto University, and it is the world's very first satellite made out of wood. I mean, look at it, it's just a tiny little cube, but its potential impact on how we explore space is just enormous. So you're probably asking, why on earth would you build a satellite out of wood? Well, the main reason is to fight space junk. LignoSat is made from magnolia wood. They chose it for its strength and durability. See, unlike a normal metal satellite that can create all this harmful debris and metal particles when it burns up, a wooden satellite will just incinerate completely when it re-enters the atmosphere. It leaves absolutely no trace behind. How cool is that? All right, back down on Earth, a new global study has some pretty sobering news. It shows that India is the world's second largest emitter of nitrous oxide, or N2O. And this is a really big deal because N2O is a greenhouse gas that's nearly 300 times more potent than carbon dioxide. That's right, 300 times. This is exactly the kind of data that is so critical for shaping our environmental policies. Now, from human impact on the planet to an absolutely ancient natural wonder, scientists in South Africa have just discovered termite mounds that have been continuously lived in for an incredible 34,000 years. This discovery makes these termites a perfect example of what we call an ecosystem engineer. That's a species that literally shapes its own environment, kind of like how beavers build dams or corals build reefs. These termites have been engineering their home for longer than human civilization has even existed. It's just a profound reminder of nature's incredible staying power. From the natural world, let's pivot to the world of geopolitics. In this section, we're going to focus on India's role on the global stage, with some key updates on defense and diplomacy. So the latest report from SIPRI gives us a really stark look at the nuclear picture in our region. While India, at 172 warheads, is now just slightly ahead of Pakistan's 170, the chart tells the real story. And that is the massive scale of China's arsenal. At 500 warheads and still growing, it is dramatically reshaping the strategic balance around here. In the world of diplomacy, India recently attended the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland. Now, the final joint statement, or communiqué, reaffirmed Ukraine's territorial integrity, but India chose not to sign it. And the reason? It comes down to India's consistent position that any real path to peace has to be achieved through dialogue that involves both sides of the conflict. And for our final section, let's take a moment to celebrate some incredible individuals from India who have been achieving amazing things in their fields, from sports all the way to literature. It's been a really remarkable month for Indian talent. Pooja Tamar made history as the first Indian to ever win a UFC fight. Filmmaker Vinod Ganatra received the super prestigious Nelson Mandela Lifetime Achievement Award. The author Arundhati Roy won the Pen Pinter Prize for her fearless writing. And Rajasthani poet Sonali Suthar won the Sahitya Akademi Yuva Puraskar. Just an incredible showcase of excellence all around. And that's our briefing for this month. We've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From new laws for advocates to satellites made of wood, and from ancient termites to modern diplomacy. Which leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Of all of these different developments, which one do you think will have the biggest impact on India's future? Thanks for joining us.